In terms of, again, looking to the future, and bear with me on this question. I mean, clearly at the moment we're all doing our best to avoid the awfulness of catching this virus, quite rightly. And there is no doubt that it has cost many families huge amount, and in loss of life, concern about their loved ones.
Yeah.
From a sort of macro perspective, if we sort of turn it on its head and say, well, if the virus is the antidote, from a business perspective, and business has been panned, over recent years in different ways, shape or form, particularly around integrity of leadership, integrity of the way the business operates. What, if the virus were the antidote, what's it seeking to cure in business, Phil?
I mean, my short answer for that is a need to prepare for a rainy day. And I think in a lot of businesses, the need for growth and the need to perform for financial returns has sometimes, I think, either gone too fast or gone way ahead of the expectations that needed to be set originally. Some may call that greed, but I think in some cases now you can see that there are certain businesses in the UK especially that have been prepared for situations like this, or diversified enough to be able, or have reserves to support themselves through those periods. And I think what it will do from a business perspective is start as leaders to understand what do we need to do in times of need, because times of need may come more frequently in the future. And there are businesses, long-standing businesses out there that are seriously threatened by the unfortunate situations that we hear. And everyone values the businesses that are out there in the UK, and no one wants to see anyone disappear. But I think from a business perspective, as leaders, we've really got to understand, the amount that we, to some extent that we're borrowing to fund our growth, but also understand how we can diversify to understand how we can support our business if any of these issues come up again.
Yeah. I remember some advice from my grandmother once upon a time saying, about keeping the rainy day fund. So as you talk about that, yeah, I get it at a personal level as well as at a business level.
Well, I mean, you can take that from a unit. Many people put all their investments in one pot. They spread from either bricks and mortar to pensions to ISAs to savings to things like that. And I'm not saying that every business hasn't saved for a rainy day, but I'm saying that as leaders, I think from a business perspective, there's that what if question that we need to ask ourselves more, because it has happened.
Yes.
It has. The economy is retracting at its fastest rate for a very long time.
Yeah, and it's interesting on the economy, because I was reading something the other day about actually there's always a cycle around that, broadly 10 years. So actually there is, whilst this has blindsided us all, none of us would have anticipated this particular time. Actually, if you work on a 10-year cycle and assume that there is going to be some significant crash in some way, shape or form, significant disruption, then actually that is something that you can think about as you plan for the future of your business.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would kind of add to that is that this crisis this year, so we go back 10 years ago, that was a banking crisis that that actually from an individual person in the UK, the impact on them wasn't necessarily immediate. Yeah, at the moment with the furloughing of staff, redundancy, the impact of not being able to work for self-employed people, the impact was kind of immediate and hit millions of people straight away. And I think that comes back to, you know, how we prepare ourselves for those eventualities. You know, in some ways, I think, you know, people blamed people for the banking crisis, you know, whoever was that, whoever was involved. But I think this one has impacted millions of people, both from a health perspective, obviously there, but also from the ability to actually work.
Mm. Finally, Phil, before we close, given everything that's been happening over recent weeks and months, how is this going to inform your leadership going forward? What's going to be different?
Different motivations of employees, it's not the same. I think I need to delve deeper into the motivators for the people that work for me. I think that's really important. We do think about the way that we communicate, and we communicate in different ways to different people. But I think that I would reflect on this, and, you know, going forward, I need to think of different ways, you know, different ways to motivate people. I think that's really important. I think, and I always, and in my introduction to my people at Which, I've said I'm a very open and honest person. I think what I want to create as a leader is open and honest environments to which everyone feels that they can be open and honest. Because I think as a leader, saying that you're open and honest is fine, but you need to create the environment that enables everyone else to be the same. Because ultimately, in a workplace, as the leader, you hold probably more information than others. But people in your team need to feel as if they can come to you, even if it's a work problem. They always have the philosophy that I'd much prefer the quicker people come with a problem, the more time we have to solve it. So creating that honest environment is really important. I think reserving time to think is again really important, and it is really hard at the moment when people are homeschooling, caring, working, trying to do a bit of exercise and everything. It's really, really hard, but really trying to encourage people to take time out to think. And there may be a link in there where you see that motivation is not high. Actually encouraging people to have more time to think, I think, is really important. And really testing myself to be more creative virtually.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Phil. Now, the point about psychological safety in teams, it is something that I think is really important. We're often asked about, you know, what really differentiates a team, what really makes it high performing. That fundamental psychological safety is absolutely vital, and fostering that so that there's no recriminations and people can say whatever they are feeling or thinking without there being some backlash. So I totally agree with you, Phil, on that point. And that today brings to conclusion our conversation. Thank you so much for joining the Leadership Exchange, first Leadership Exchange, Phil.
My pleasure.
Your thoughts, your reflections for those that are hungry to learn. If you're interested to take part in the Leadership Exchange, please drop me a message. It would be a delight to hear from you. You'll be hearing more from us, from other leaders that we work with globally. And equally, we welcome you dropping comments into the comment section so that we can improve what we're offering for the future. Thank you very much for joining us.